Hi everyone, to make this project all you need is any type of yarn that you have. Today I'll be using this t-shirt yarn right here, and I'll actually be using two colors at the same time like this. One is very thick and one is thin, but you can use of course just one color or two like me. It's totally up to you. It depends on the look that you're going for. So for me, this t-shirt yarn is around 4 centimeters wide. The size of your case depends on how thick or thin your yarn is and how big or small your hook is as well. So it's totally up to you, whatever you want to use, but I'm just sharing you what I'm using to gauge the sizing. So I'm going to be using these two t-shirt yarns together. With that, I'm using a size 10 hook. You will of course need a pair of scissors. You will need a yarn needle and a few stitch markers to mark where you are. And I will also show you how to make the sizing for any type of a laptop that you have, or an iPad or an e-reader. So this pattern is very adjustable, and I will show you how to do that as we go along. So to begin, we're going to start with a slip knot. I'm holding my two yarn together as if it's one. But again, if you're just using one color, it's the same exact way. So just ignore that it's two. You're just going to hold it together like it's one. We're going to start with a slip knot. So hold your yarn like this. This is how I hold it. We're going to make a loop and hold on to the loop. Go into the loop, grab the long yarn and pull. And this creates your slip knot. Grab your hook and insert, and just tighten it around the hook. From here, we're going to start making chains. And how you do that is you yarn over and pull through this loop. So that's your first chain. And just make sure you have a loose hand here, because we're going to be crocheting back into these chains for the next row. And if you make them too tight, it's very difficult. So just have a little bit of a loose hand when you're making these chains. So now we're going to chain the amount that fits the length that you want for your device. So keep going. So yarn over, pull through this loop. That's 2. Yarn over, pull through the loop. Yarn over, pull through. Yarn over, pull through. And just make as many chains as you want until it fits the width of your laptop. So for me, I made 15 chains in total, and this is what it looks like when I align it with the laptop I'm going to make this for. You want to make sure it fits this way. And just remember that if you're using t-shirt yarn like me, it will stretch out just a tiny bit as we crochet the next row. So make sure it's not too long. I want a little bit of a tight fit, so I will be stopping right here, because when I stretch it, it fits perfectly like this. So this is where I will stop. So now to start the next row, we're actually going to be working in these back loops right here. So if you look at your work from the front, you will see these are our chains, the V's. And if you turn your work in the back, you will see these bumps right here. So these bumps is what we're going to be working out of for this next row. So again, this is your front. If you turn in the back, you will see these bumps. So that's what we're going to be working through. So we're going to start with the second bump right here. So skip the first, we're gonna go into the second. So when you turn in the back, the second bump is right here. So this is yarn, first bump for this chain, and second one. So we're working through that second one. You want to insert your hook right in there. Yarn over on your hook and pull through like this. So now you have 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through both loops, so 1 and 2. And this is your first single crochet of this row, and I will take a stitch marker and mark that so we know that this is the first one. Now we need 2 more into that same stitch. So if you spread it apart, you will see this is where we just worked through. So we're gonna insert our hook into that same stitch 2 more times. So insert your hook yarn over, pull up a loop like this, yarn over and pull through both loops, 1, 2. So now we have 2, that's 1 and 2. We need one more into that same stitch. So insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop. Gets a little bit tricky when it's t-shirt yarn. So this is our third one, so yarn over and pull through both loops. And now we have 1, 2, 3. I will mark this third one just so you can see, but you don't have to mark this one. The most important one is the very first one right here. So I'm marking the third one so you can visually see what I'm putting where. So now that we have 3 into that first stitch, we can move on. So we're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these bumps until the very last one. So to move on, we'll find the next bump, which is right here. Insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops, and that's your single crochet. And again, we move on. So next bump, insert, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through like so. And again, next bump right here, insert, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through, and we continue. Next bump, next bump, so just continue to place 1 single crochet in each of these bumps until the very last one, and I will meet you here. So now we have our very last chain here. So we're going to again put 3 single crochets in here, just like we did here. So the same way, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through. I'm going to place a stitch marker on this as well. So this is our first of the 3. You don't have to put a stitch marker here. I'm putting this so you can visually see what I'm doing where. So that was our first one. We need 2 more into that same stitch. So insert your hook, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through. So that's 2, 1, 2. We need 1 more. Insert your hook into that same stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. And as you can see, our work is starting to curl this way, so that's what we want. So again, finish off that last single crochet. So we have 1, 2, 3, and I will mark this last one here as well. So first and last. And now we repeat what we did here. So for reference, so we can go over what we did, I started with 15 chains. You can start with any amount of chains that fits whatever you're making the case for. So for me, I did 15 chains, 3 single crochets in the second chain from the hook. So aside from the 3 and the 3 here, in the middle here, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So I have 12 single crochets in between the stitch markers for me. So I started with 15 chains, 3 here, 12, 3 here. And now going back this way, I will again put 12 single crochets to match this side. So here will be 12, just like this side. So now all we have to do is keep making single crochets to meet here and complete the oval. So we will continue, and with this little tail here, you can either crochet around it, you don't have to weave it in later, or you can just leave it to the back and just weave it in later. So it's totally up to you. So to start, we're going to insert our hook into that very first stitch right here, which you can see the V. So we're going to take our hook and insert into that first stitch right here. And I will actually keep the tail on top of my work like this, so we crochet around it. So yarn over, pull up a loop like this, yarn over and pull through both loops. So that's our first single crochet. And now we move on to the next stitch right here, the next V. So insert your hook. I'm going to keep the tail on top of my hook, yarn over like usual, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through both loops. So just a regular single crochet. Now we repeat, going to the next stitch. I'm keeping the tail on top of my work, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through, and again into that next stitch right here. Keep the tail on top, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through. So we just repeat this all the way until we get back here, and I'll show you how to join it. So for now, just keep making one single crochet in each of these stitches. And as you can see, the tail has been hidden as we work through. You can see a little bit here, and we can just tuck this in afterwards. So the hard work is done on that part. And now we have that last stitch left right here. So same thing, just one single crochet. Like so. So now we can count back our work to make sure it's all correct. So this should match this side. So if here I had 12 stitches, then here it should also be 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we have 12, 12, 3, 3. So now we're finished with the base and we're gonna move upwards. So to start the next row, we're going to slip stitch onto that first stitch that we did. So you want to take out the stitch marker. I'm going to insert my hook into that stitch where the stitch marker was, yarn over, pull through, and pull through all the way. And that is a slip stitch. So now we have completed this row, and we're going to chain 1 to start the next one. So yarn over and just pull through. So that's chain 1. And now for only this row, we're going to be working in the back loops only, which means instead of working through the full stitch like this, how we have been this whole time, we're actually going to work through the back loops only, like this, into these. So again, instead of working through the full stitch, we're working through the back loops. And this is what gives us this ridge-like look, and we're only doing this for the next row. So working through the back loops only. So to start the first one, I'm going to place 1 single crochet into that same stitch where we did the slip stitch. So if you pull apart your work, this is where we just worked through. As you can see, that's where the stitch is. So that's our first stitch right here. So instead of going through the full stitch like this, I'm going to work through the back loop of that stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through. And again, I will take my stitch marker and mark this one as the very first single crochet of this row. And this is the most important part of this project, to always mark the first single crochet of each row. So from now on, this is the only stitch marker we need. We don't need any of these. We can actually take this one out. Now to continue, this is our next stitch, and we're gonna go through the back loop of this stitch, which is right here. So not the full stitch, but only the back stitch right here. Yarn over, pull through, like so. And we move on to the next stitch, back loop only, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through. And we just keep repeating. So next stitch right here, insert back loop only, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through. And again, back loop only of the next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through. And as you can see, it's starting to curl upwards instead of getting wider like this. So it's starting to build the height, which is what we want. So keep making 1 single crochet in back loops only all the way around until we come back to the stitch marker, and I'll show you how to start the next row. So for now, just 1 single crochet in each stitch. So that was my very last single crochet for this row, and make sure you're not putting a stitch here, because this is not a stitch, this is a slip stitch that we did in the last row to connect it together. This is the chain 1 and this is our first stitch. So if you count back your work, which you should always count back your work, for me, remember I had 12, 12, 3, 3, which in total is 30 stitches. So all around I finished with 30 stitches, which means this row again I should have 30 stitches in total. So that's how I'm 100% sure that this is the slip stitch, this is a chain 1, and this is where we started. So if you end up adding an extra stitch here, which you're not supposed to, your work might start to flare outwards instead of just going straight. So at each row you always have to make sure you have the same amount of stitches. So again, for me I have 30 in total, so every row has 30. So I counted back my work to make sure I have 30. Make sure you don't put a stitch where the slip stitch is. So moving forward, we're not going to do any slip stitch in chain 1 to make it easier. So from moving forward, we're only going to be working in spirals, which means it's much easier. So you can take out the stitch marker and just place a single crochet back in here. So take your hook, insert into that full stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through both loops like this. And I'm going to take my stitch marker again and place it back here. So this is the first single crochet of this row, and we mark that. Moving forward, we go into the next stitch right here, insert your hook through the full stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through both loops, and move on. So next stitch right here, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through, next stitch, next stitch, so just continue making one single crochet all the way, and I'll show you how to start the next row again one more time. This is the last stitch for this row right here, like so. So again, always count back your work to make sure you have the same amount of stitches at each row. So for me it's 30 stitches, and I have 30 stitches here, and we have approached the stitch marker. So again, I will show you how to start the next row together. So you just take out the stitch marker and just single crochet. And just make sure to mark that as your very first stitch of this row. So take it off and put it back on. And that is it. So just again, single crochet all the way around and do the same thing we just did here. So make as many rows as you need, and I will meet you at the end to finish it off. So this is where I'm going to stop. I made around 17 rows from the base all the way up here. So however many rows you end up making, it's totally up to you. There's no right or wrong amount of rows. I ended up changing some colors along the way, but that doesn't change anything. Pattern stays the same. So whenever you're happy with the length, once you get to your first stitch here, that's where we will finish off. So I'll show you how to do that. So you actually want to cut off your yarn. So we'll cut off this much. And then you're left with this little tail, and you want to just pull through with your hook like this. And now you have your yarn coming through like that. Now you want to take your yarn needle and put your yarn through. If it doesn't fit through your yarn needle, you can also use your hook to get the yarn through. So I'm just going to put mine through here. And just to finish off, we're going to make a seamless invisible stitch. So it's very easy to do. So all you want to do is take off the stitch marker, and we're actually going to skip the stitch where the stitch marker was and go into that second stitch. So this is where the stitch marker was, this V, and we're gonna go into that second stitch right here. So stitch marker, second stitch. So we're gonna go through that and pull and tighten like this. And now we're gonna go back into that stitch right here where the yarn is coming out of. So if I pull it apart, we're gonna go through this stitch in the middle of that right here. So pull here, and we're going back into that stitch where the yarn is coming out of. That's where we're going into, in the middle of it. You look in the back, and I'm also going to grab this bump as well. So through the middle and through the bump in the back, and just push through and pull, and just pull like this. And if you look at the top, this creates a stitch, but it's a fake stitch, but it looks just like any other stitch. So it's very seamless and just blends in perfectly. So now all that's left to do is just look in the back of your work, and all we want to do is just hide the yarn. So I'm just gonna go through any of the stitches in the back and just pull like this. Just pull like that, and just keep going through any of the stitches until your yarn is secure enough. Once you feel like your yarn is secure enough, you just take off your yarn needle, and all that's left to do is cut it off. And you can do the same with if you have any tails left from changing colors or anything. You just hide it with your yarn needle and cut it off, and you're finished. This is your final knot top case. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it helpful.